think I am on. Am I on? I think I am on. If I'm on, that's great. I smile at you all. And I'm going to hit record so that I am talking. It is recording me. I have a new webcam. To anyone who's watching, I'm going to check that I'm actually on YouTube. Can't hear myself, that's alright, I can hear myself. It's on. It's saying I'm here. Okay. Alright, well, I don't know if I'm going to have anyone join me or not, but that's fine. It's weird. So, I want to look at there, but I want to look at there. So if I don't look at you, I'm really sorry. You get to see me live. In the cupboard of cupboardness. Look, there's Kerry up here too. Well, I can't point to things, but picture of people. So, hello, this is David from the Thetic RL. It's good to meet you. 100th episode. I forget what I say when I start an episode, so probably don't say that. But yeah, welcome. And I wanted to do something a little bit different for the 100th episode. I wanted to have a bit of a live show, but I'm the only one here, which is normal for Thetic RL. This is what we normally do. We normally just talk to ourselves. And I will continue to talk to the bottom of the screen because I need to read things and I can't do this properly. Anyway, am I recording? Yes, I am recording my own voice. So there will be a podcast episode of this come out straight afterwards. So if you are listening to the podcast one, you don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the visuals. But yeah, you can go back and listen and look at the YouTube when it's finished as well. Now, I thought to myself, what do I do with the 100th episode? I'm going to look at the camera because I feel like it's going to look weird if I don't look at the camera. What do you do with the 100th episode? I've done every topic I can think of that's interesting. I've got plenty more to go, but I can't think of anything that's particularly about 100 games, 100 something else. 100th year of rugby league maybe, but I just thought it's such a big long history of rugby league. I thought, well, why don't we talk about the best moments, the worst moments, and the funniest moments. So I've got some things that I've got a video, I've got an audio from one of our friends over in England who sent me something. I've got a bit of text from another person, and I was hoping to have a few others that might send me something, but look, it might just be me talking. And I can probably talk through. I've got, like I said, I've got a few text ones from people, so that's great. How about we try? This is going to be very interesting. Let's see if I can play this and you'll be able to hear it. The technology is not great, so I'm just going to hold the phone up next to it so that you can hear what he says. I might take my headphone out a bit so I can hear it as well, because I'm probably screaming at people right now with the headphones in. Just can't hear anything. And we'll hear from our good friend. Well, he'll introduce himself, so let's see if I can make this happen.
Hello, it's Richard Short here from 4020 Live, our YouTube channel, and everything else that goes with it. I think that's the other people who I do stuff for these days. But weeks ago, you asked me to send you a file of what my some moments in rugby league, what I thought of. You can tell, and anyone who watches our podcast or listens to it knows, I don't do any preparation. So you've put on here, best moment watching rugby league, worst moment watching rugby league, funniest moment watching rugby league. So, best moment. It's going to have to be Wakefield winning the Yorkshire Cup in '92. It's just before my 12th birthday. I'm at Elland Road. I've only just started watching Wakefield in the last couple of years, so I don't know we're going to be rubbish for the next 30. So I think, we've won the cup. This could be the start of something big. Of course, it wasn't. The irony is, up until that point in the season, we hadn't actually beaten anyone apart from in the Yorkshire Cup. And then, days after, which the best moment is a bit longer than a moment, it stretched over a few days. I get me first Wakefield shirt for my birthday, which I wish I still had, because you could sell it for a fortune on eBay. I wouldn't fit in it, obviously. But we beat Leeds in the last second with a Nigel Wright drop goal. Now, I've never seen it since, but I swear he was on the touchline near where I was standing, because I was a ball boy at the time. And before the game, when I went into the office, which is now where the home change rooms are at Bellevue, the Yorkshire Cup was there, just on the floor. No wonder it's a bit battered. That's my best moment. Worst moment. There isn't one I can particularly think of. Obviously, when people get injured, it's not good, and you don't like to see that. Or when your team loses, that's not good. But I haven't really had a worse moment. I mean, having to fill for half an hour on KCFM, the former Hull-based radio station, who'd asked me to fill in to present their live coverage from Headingley when Leeds were playing Hull KR. And after the game, they had a half-hour phone-in, to which no one phoned. That was good. Was that my worst moment, though? No, there's no worst moment. Oh, no, I'll tell you what it is. It's New Zealand. The try in the last minute of the 2013 World Cup semi-final.
Some people's best moment.
I was at Wembley. And I've never known, before or since, an atmosphere go from excitement to just, not silence, because you don't get silence, but just nothing. Just absolutely nothing. Funniest moments? I mean, any time that Wakefield, when we're rubbish, beat a Bradford or a St Helens or whatever, that's always funny. Or I think there's two. Most recently, Wakefield versus Warrington a few years ago in Super League. I was there doing the updates for TalkSport, and Deck Patton somehow managed to play the ball into touch, which I don't think I've ever seen happen before. Other than that, being on the terraces at Headingley, on the Western Terrace, I think it was wet that night, it probably was. Wakefield playing Leeds in Super League. This would have been 2001, I think. And Ben Walker, who was the Rhinos' big signing, came over, and he passed the ball to the Wakefield man, George Truelove, who no one's ever heard of. I think he played 2 games for the club and scored a try, which we all celebrated. I think Wakefield lost in the end. But it was funny because their star player cocked up and the bloke no one ever heard of has scored. It wasn't that funny, really, was it? Congratulations on 100 episodes, and here's to 1,000 more.
Thank you for that, Richard. Yeah. Well, some funny moments. I'm sorry, I'm clicking things. I should pay attention. I'm really grateful that Richard sent something in, because it's good to hear English voices, different things. Because if I asked 1,000 Australians their funniest, best moments, I'm very doubtful I'll get any things to do with Wakefield. Definitely not, or any English sort of team or anything like that. So yeah, it's great to hear that. I'm hoping in the next 100 episodes I'll do a few more, maybe a larger percentage of ones about the English game, because I do enjoy talking about it. I don't know as much about it as everyone else, obviously, over and over there, but it's got just as many wonderful stories as we've got in, Australian Rugby League, in the Sydney and the Brisbane competitions. I'm gonna see if I can bring up, I'm not sure if I bring it up, you're just going to see it on the screen, but I've got a few actually. I've got one that came through, and it was from our good friends Ben and Fletch, so I'll see if I can find where he sent that. I think he sent it to me. He said he's tuned in, so that's even better. Hey, how you going, guys? So, no, it's not in there. I'll find it. I'll find this other one. So, one of our guests from a while back, I don't know if I should shout it like that, Mr. John Mundellism, as he's known on Twitter, I'm going to read it out. You could probably read it because it's on the screen now, because this is the only way I can figure out to put it now so I can read it. So he's actually in France. He won't be able to tune in, but that's fine. And he's given me quite a lot of bests, worsts, and funniest. He's kind of broken them into a few different things. So he said TV's best. The Scotland's draw with New Zealand 2016, which was really interesting at the time. I remember that game. That was dark and dingy and cold. I think it was wind was blowing a gale as well, if I remember correctly. It's everything you could think of in British Rugby League, basically. And New Zealand, who were such a great side at the time, and getting that draw with Scotland in that draw. So out of the blue, the State of Origin Lockyers winning try in Game 3 of 2006 to start the winning run. I mean, I'm from New South Wales, but I don't really care about State of Origin as much as some of the others, but I think some of the youth who are New South Wales fans, diehards, would probably hate that one. And for club, the grand final, the worst is what he said, is the last 10 minutes of the 1991 grand final. Obviously, he's a Canberra fan, and they were riding that game until the last 10 minutes. The funniest was is a tie between Kerrod Walters' chicken delight post-try celebration for the Rams. I think our friend Guy from Adelaide Rampage will probably love that one. Against Salford. When Sparky the Eel took out a kid when running into the field. I think it was about 2006, you're right. For live stuff, he's talking about the 2008 World Cup final, the State of Origin 2006 Game 2, when Gas went to the sheds 5 minutes before it ended. Obviously, he doesn't like New South Wales very much. The big night at Caxton after fiance rang 4 a.m. and said, "Don't you have your final teaching exam at 9?" Okay. For his club, the 2019 preliminary final. Worst. It goes on and on. 2019 grand final, 6 again. It's probably the worst. And then the funniest was, once again, Gus walking off. And then there's a bonus one. In 1988, in the under-12s, Condamine versus Wendowen. I don't know where Wendowen is. Future great Darren Lockyer rubs his face in the mud after tackling him. He's playing for Condamine. Well, there you go. Thank you for that one, John. I'm sure that when you get back, you can... We won't say that because we don't need to. When you get back, we'll probably have a chat again. You're one of my Hyper M's judges, so you better come back because I need the results in. Yeah, that's great. There is... Now, I need to find it because I know that Ben and Fletch sent me something. Here we go. I knew it was here. I don't know if you can see me or the screen, but either way, I'm just going to read them out. So, if you're an Eels fan, or even if you're not an Eels fan, listen to the Electric podcast. It's father and son, and it is entertaining. And I'll tell you what, that Fletch kid is so intense and so funny, and he's a great kid. He's great to listen to. He loves the Eels so much, which is why I think all the Eels fans love him. But yeah, it's really great, and you know, just a fun podcast to listen to. So I'll give you a recommendation. So best moment watching rugby league, last year's preliminary final, when he walked out of the house. This is Ben, this is the dad. Walked out of the house with 3 minutes to go, walked around the block, and was met by Fletch, which is his son, at the front door, telling me, "We did it," which I've heard that story before, and I love it every time they tell it. I obviously watched that same preliminary final, Parramatta against North Queensland, and it was, it was an intense game, and I'm not going to mix any bones. I don't know what that word is. Basically, I cried. I thought it was going to happen. I thought the whole thing was coming. I saw our women's team make the grand final. I saw our men's team make the grand final, and I thought, this is the year. And I thought it from the start of last year too. I thought this is going to be the year. we've got guys leaving. This is what's going to be, and then obviously, typical Paramount style, we don't get it done the next week. But still, fantastic moment. I love that one. That was really great. I also enjoyed the first week of the finals in 2009 where the Eels beat the Dragons, who were playing Winx odds to beat us. Yeah, 2009 is like I've always said, it should have been, if it had the result where Parramatta wins at the end, it would have been, I mean, to me, it would have been like the ultimate sports fairy tale. You know, the team that was down and out and coming second last and playing absolutely terribly, and then they just decide that they're going to, you know, turn it on. And we did an episode, I had my wife Lisa there, where we decided that we would make Hollywood movies out of moments in rugby league history, and I picked that one as one of them because it feels like it should have been some kind of Hollywood movie. It was just the right kind of thing. The worst moment, I don't even want to mention these ones, but let's just do them. The 1998 preliminary final against the Bulldogs, the 2001 grand final, the 2005 preliminary final against the Cowboys. They all shatter me every time I think about it. They're probably one of the reasons why I do this podcast, actually. Those three events, they're not the only three, but those three are probably big things of reasons why this podcast exists. So we can, if you love this podcast, you can thank those. But yeah, I would personally would love to have won all three of those games, and not had a podcast. Would have been more fun. The funniest moment was watching Nathan Caylor's kick a field goal in 2008 to level the game against Newcastle. Did it come from a scrum? I'm trying to think of what happened. It's actually, if you've got KO, there is I can't think of what the name of the program is, but there's some sort of program that is like the best last 5 minutes or something. It's like that sort of thing, and this one is on there. It's the Eels against Newcastle, and I think Newcastle kick a field goal, and then Kalis kicks this field goal, and then Luke Bird ends up kicking the field goal to win it for Parramatta. And I remember being at that game, and when he did it, they threw it to him, and he just, like, instead of panicking, he just went, all right, I'll kick the field goal. And we loved it. We thought it was the best because, you know, he's kicking the field goal, and I think it was to tie the score if I remember correctly. But yeah, no, that's a really good one. A field goal of the game, and then State of Origin in Queensland, when he got a beer thrown at him, his mate was laughing his ass off until the meat pie came from nowhere, hit him in the head and stuck to his face. So I like those. There's personal stories as well, so that's really, really good. I got someone who said they can't be here. That's okay. So I don't think I'm going to have anyone join me, but that's fine. I did put the feelers out there, and I thought a few might do that, but we'll continue on. I think probably. Oh, sorry, I keep clicking that button. Maybe I should give you some of mine. Some of my best moments. So I might borrow for some people. I might talk about best moments in my own personal playing football. I might talk about best moments for my club. I don't really State of Origin. I might have one, and maybe an Australian one. Because we've got pad time here, people. It's only like 15 minutes, and I know you want the content, but you want you want quality and content. So don't really listen to me. But anyway, I feel like Richard Shaw, right? I feel like he's rubbed off on me because this is how he talks, except without the Australian accent. So, for Parramatta, I'm wearing my Para hoodie, by the way. For Parramatta, I mean, it's hard to go past last year's prelim. That was pretty big. It's so hard for me because the last time they won, I was 6 and I don't remember it. So every other game that is like a big game, like is really great to win, it feels like we didn't win the next week, and that kind of tarnishes them. I do like the 2009 game against St George because it felt like something was happening, same as the Cowboys one last year. I mean, I had an answer for this, and I don't remember what I was going to say. I think I might have said last year, and I think Ben saying that makes me not want to say it. I mean, one of my favourite moments is not even a first grade game. It's like a reserve grade game, and I think I told this story once before. And it was a few actually. So I'm going to be a bit weird. I'm going to talk about reserve grade games, and that sounds weird. So one of them was, there was a bald-headed fella played for Parramatta, Michael Erickson. You may not remember him. I remember him really well. He was one of my favourite players, and he was playing in a reserve grade game, and I think he was the left winger. Might have been the left winger. Anyway, it was near the end of the. I think it was near the end of the game, and they were sort of throwing the ball around, and so he makes this break down the right hand side. So he makes this long break all the way down the right, and he was a fairly fast player, but he didn't quite have the speed to beat whoever were playing. I can't remember what the team was, but he gets tackled, and it's probably 5-10 metres out on the right hand side, right on the touchline there, and so he plays the ball, and then I think he was the right winger, either that or he was the. I think it was the left winger. If he was the right winger, then this is even more remarkable. He played the ball, and then he sprints all the way around while his team are passing the ball to the other side, to the left-hand side, and ends up scoring on the final play in the left-hand corner to win the game. Now, I remember this, but this is me as a kid, so I don't know if any of this is true. This could be totally untrue, but I seem to remember that was the thing. The other one is not really just one moment. It is a series of games, and these ones are important to me because these are games that I shared with my dad. So I go to the football with my dad still, but these are memories that I'll remember all the time going with him. So I was probably in my mid-20s, so this is like mid-2000s, and the Parramatta Reserve Grade team had Michael Witt and Jeremy Smith. So you got remember I think you remember those two. The Jeremy Smith who played for Parramatta, not the Jeremy Smith that played for Melbourne. And I think he was in one game. Actually, that's one of my funniest moments. Will be one of his too. So they were a team who would get down by half time by about 24-30 points, and I remember for like 3 or 4 weeks in a row they were behind. They were probably, like I said, maybe 20-22 points behind. Now, in the first week, they were behind, I can't remember how much they were, and all of a sudden in the second half, they went bang, 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 and won the game. And I'm sure it was about 18-20 points. Then the next week, or the next time they played at Parramatta Stadium, because it's the only time we watched it, they were down by 24 points. And I remember in that game, there was like a Michael Witt dropout where he kicked it basically on the ground straight in front of him and got the ball back, and they went down the end and scored and won the game. And they were, like I said, down for about maybe 24 points. And then the next time we watched them, they were down by 30. I think it was 30-0 at half time. And by this time, we'd seen them do it twice. And I turned to my dad and I said, "Do you think they can do it again?" And he's like, "I think they can do it again." Like, we were kind of joking. We do this thing where, like, a team's not doing well and we're like, "Oh, the comeback's on," and it comes from this. And we're there and we're like, "The comeback's on." And then they scored. And then they scored again. And then they were the sort of, you could feel that it was coming, but the other team were a bit better than the teams they'd played before. So their defence was a bit better and they weren't sort of giving up the points. But they got right down to the last play and I feel like they scored right at the end and kicked a goal to get a draw. And it might have been 30-all, might have been 36-all or something like that. But it was an amazing game, and it's like one of my highlights as a Parramatta fan to watch this team get a draw. And nothing really came of this team. They weren't fantastic. There were some good players in there, but it was just an insane team to watch. Another highlight of mine, another reserve grade thing, it was Parramatta, and I don't know if they were Parramatta or Wentworthville at the time because they had the feeder club of Wentworthville. They ended up winning 3 in a row in the mid-2000s, probably a bit after the Michael Witt time, so I think the Michael Witt time might have been a bit earlier, might have been 2003-4. This was like 7, 8, and 9 or something like that. Maybe not 9, maybe 6, 7, and 8. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, I'm getting older and my memory is not the best. So the big thing about this one was they had won like 2 in a row, and then they came up against this side. It was Newtown, which was basically the Roosters feeder at the time. It had Jamie Soward, and some good Roosters players. Not the best, obviously, reserve graders, but had some interesting players in it. And this game is this is almost like a best moment and funniest moment. So I'm going to kind of put this one here so I can transition into funniest. And so this game went to extra time, and both teams just couldn't kick a field goal. They just couldn't do it, and it was so funny because, like, on the other side was Jamie Soward. Like, this is before Jamie Soward, but it was Jamie Soward, and he should have been able to kick a field goal, and he couldn't do it. On our side, I think it was Marcus Perinara. I'd say it's Marcus Perinara, the younger brother of Henry. I think he was our halfback, and I can't remember who the 5'8" was, but could have been Blake Green. Anyway, but no one could kick a field goal, and they had so many attempts at it. And the thing was, it's grand final day, and this was the grand final. It was like, the 6, 7 o'clock grand. I don't know what it was, but yeah, that sort of nighttime grand final. So this is being played like around 4, 5 o'clock, and what had been decided was I went over to my parents' place to watch the grand final. We came over to watch this game. Basically didn't really care about the grand final that year. I just wanted to watch this game. And so we were there, and my mum's saying to us, oh, well, I've got stuff in the oven because she had cooking stuff. And she goes, I'll aim for 6 o'clock, I think it was, or 5 o'clock, whatever it was. And we're like, yeah, the game will be over. The game should be over like 10 minutes before that and stuff like that. Will be perfect timing. Anyway, so the game goes in extra time. And so she's like, I'll just leave it in the oven for a while. And she goes, just leave it in for a bit more. And she goes, it's starting to dry out now. Well, I'm just going to eat. So my family all start eating, and like I've got my kids there, and they're all eating, and me and my dad are there with our little plates, and we're kind of like looking over here to watch what's happening in this game. And we were but they wanted everyone to sit at the table. So I'm sort of like sitting at the table, and then sort of I hear something on us. Sort of leaning over like this, and eventually my mum just goes, just go watch the game. And so she gives us paper plates, and we walk out, and we're holding our little paper plates, trying to eat our dinner like this while this game is going on and on and on. And I think, if I'm correct, I think the game goes for 104 minutes, so that's 24 minutes of extra time, because it was just sudden death. That's what it was, but no one could score. And then finally, Parramatta scores a try. And I think it was Wella Haraki who crashes over, if I remember correctly. But it was like they couldn't work it out for 24 minutes that no one was ever going to kick a field goal. Then finally, someone from Parramatta went, instead of going for the field goal, I'm going to kick it down into the corner. And then they made Newtown ruck it out from the corner. And then they looked like they were going to get a good shot. And they went, no, we're just going to go for the try. And so they scored and won, and I'm pretty sure that was a three-peat. Could have been Wenty, could have been Para, I don't care. It's all the same. It's the same clubs, it doesn't matter. So that was one of my highlights, and it's sort of a funny moment as well, with trying to do that sort of stuff like that. In terms of the worst ones, 1998, but it's more specific to 1998 than that actual game. The worst point in that game is when the Paul Carriage explosion happened. He played terribly in the whole game, but the explosion, the brain explosion that happens when they had changed the rule the year before about putting your foot. They hadn't changed the rule. It was still the same rule that someone in our team. So we had Clint Shivkovsky in our team, and he was great at putting his foot on the dead ball line while the ball was rolling. You could touch it with your hand, and I love smart footballers. I love guys who understand the rules and will use those rules to their advantage. That's why I love Clint Gutherson, how he plays. He's smart. He knows that if the ball's going down the corner, he puts his foot out, he touches it, we get the ball back. You don't get pinned in the corner. Like, he knows what he's doing, and that's what Clint Shivkovsky was, right? Now Paul Carriage tries this, But the stupid thing is that the ball has to still be moving. And so Carriage puts his foot down and he's going to reach out for the ball, but the ball stops. But he puts his hand on it. And so it's a dropout. And so we give Canterbury the ball back. And this is the moment that I remember. That's the one I remember. All the other stupid stuff, like, him kicking the ball and then having the final shot, the field goal, that's all terrible. And there's some terrible parts. But that's the one that gets me, because it's like he saw the ball stopped. So instead of just going ahead with his plan that he knew wasn't going to work, he should have stopped and just went, all right, I'll pick the ball up and try and run it out. And he may have still got trapped in goal, but at least it wouldn't have just given... It's like getting the ball just running out. Like, why? It's stupid. Don't do it. But he just, at that time... And I feel sorry for him, because I feel like the pressure is what got to him. And that's why it's the worst moment for me. There's some other bad ones, like, obviously, every time you lose a grand final is terrible, and it's all pretty bad. But the 98 one, I felt was the start of that. Like, in 97, Parramatta led Newcastle 18-0 in their first semi-final game and got run down, and basically for the rest of the final series didn't do much, right? And then 98 happens, and it felt like there's a curse happening, because it's 98, then it's 99, then it's 2000, then they finally break the thing and they get through the grand final in 2001, and they lose that. And then 2002, the team's on decline and they don't get anywhere near. And then we go through those not great years, and we get 2005 and we do it again at prelim, and it's like 2009 we don't win the grand final, and it's like they all felt like they just kept adding and adding and adding and adding. So I feel like 98's the start of it, and that's why that's probably my worst moment. There's some really, in terms of funny moments, the one that always makes me laugh is, and I don't know what game it is the game when Michael Vella has that, like, Hannibal Lecter thing out. I love that. It's the best. Like, someone's just trying to strap him as best they can, and it's just like, I don't know. It's just, that one always gets me. I always think it's really funny. Other funny moments, to be honest, I can't think of any other ones. That's the one that comes to my mind every time. The only other one is, like I said, Jeremy Smith's one, but it's kind of a bad moment but a funny moment at the same time. I want to say it's Jared Haynes' debut game for Parramatta. Anyway, Parramatta plays St George in absolutely abysmal conditions, and the score is 2-1. 2 field goals to 1 field goal for Parramatta. And there's a scrum like 10 metres out from Parramatta's line. Jeremy Smith is getting his shot to be Parramatta's halfback, or 5'8", can't remember who he's playing. And so he feeds the ball into the scrum, and then he basically just throws the ball, and the St George guy just gets the ball and scores. He just gives it away, and it was just so frustrating. It was funny as well. Not at the time. At the time I was very upset about it, but it was frustrating as hell. Oh, hey kitten. Hey, we got a kitten. Hello everyone. We're fostering kittens at the moment, so don't touch my stuff. Yeah, okay. Look, this is probably very loose. This is much looser than any other episode I've done. For a 100th episode, it's probably the best thing I can do. I thought my cord wasn't plugged in for a sec then, but it is. I can see the light. So yeah, it's probably a bit of a loose one, and look, apologies, it's not the longest of episodes either, but I was hoping I'd get a few people to jump on and join me. I'm assuming that I am going out live. I hope I've actually hit the buttons properly. Either way, I'm recording it. Yep, I'm recording it. I don't know if you could see that. But yeah, alright, cool. Look, I don't know what else to say, except for thank you. I just thank everyone who listens, and anyone watching at the moment, thank you. It's pretty humbling that I can get... I don't get big numbers. You can tell I'm a guy that sits in a bloody cupboard. So, but the fact that I get anyone to listen, not just me listening back to it later, is pretty amazing. And the fact that I get feedback from you guys, and I can run things like the Hyper M's, and I can get people. I've got 10 to 12 guys who send me their things and send everything, and that sort of give me all this information and give up their time and help me, and I've run draft things and I get people to do that as well. Oh, hey Ben. Oh, if he's but yeah, no, it's really great. I was probably going to about log off, but got someone logged on, and I don't know if he wants to chat to me or not. But I don't know if I can hear you. You can hear me. Hey, how you doing? I don't know if I can. Why can't I hear you? I'm presuming other people can hear you. Or maybe they can't. Oh, what am I doing? Let's see what I'm doing wrong. Maybe if I change the chord. Let's give the chord. Might need to unmute you. Oh. This is what you call quality. I know you're laughing at me. How do I unmute you? No, you're not muted. I can mute you and then unmute you. Hold on. Let's try something. Let's try something here. Let's try a different chord, because maybe the chord's not right, or maybe it's my settings, because I had this happen to me the other day. No, we got the right speaker. I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure what's going on, Ben. Sorry. Oh, I tell you, I don't use this. Thanks, man. All right. Well, that was a good impromptu thing. Anyone who wasn't watching the YouTube, our mate Ben from Electric Podcast jumped on, and I couldn't unmute him. So, all right. Look, I think I might just leave it at that. I'm really, really happy that, like I said, let's go back to. Oh, I can see Troy. Let's see whether I can end up hearing him as well. This will be funny.
Hello, mate.
Ah, okay. So it was Ben's fault, not my fault. Hey, how you doing?
How you going?
I'm good.
Good, mate. Yourself?
I'm really good. Thank you for joining me. A little cameo.
Yes, not a problem. Sorry for joining late, but
That's okay.
I'm here.
No, that's fine.
Hey.
I'm happy. I was just talking to myself for about half an hour for no reason, which is probably what the best thing to do. Like you do that as well a little bit too.
Yes, I do. Sometimes your own company can be the best company, but yeah, no, I have been tuning in for the last 10 minutes or so, and then just decided to jump on when you were about to jump off. So,
So you're gonna make me sit here for longer and listen to you? That's just like my Wednesday or Thursday when you hear your podcast come out.
No. So, yeah, some interesting games you brought up there, but
Yeah, well, I have a propensity for reserve grade games. I don't know why. I just seem to like them more. I feel like the intensity's down in a reserve grade game, so it's like I could just do. Yeah. Look, see, that's the professional. Anyone watching on YouTube can see how the professional works, and the guy who sits in this room.
Nah, it's all good, mate. We've all got our limitations sometimes, but
mine's
doesn't matter.
just generally all limitations, but that's fine.
Yeah, nah.
So,
what do you got there? What do you want to know?
I'm going to ask you what your best moment in rugby league history is.
Best moment in rugby league history. That is a tough one because like yourself, I haven't experienced a grand final victory live, so only replays. So I am old enough to have been alive when Parramatta's won grand finals, but haven't actually been there present. So
you're so young though, Troy. You can't have been alive in '86.
It might be the grey hairs. I think maybe there in the beard. But greatest rugby league moment. Well, look, there's a couple that stand out. Obviously, the opening of Combank Stadium, that was a massive day. Never been a person who's been at the opening of a stadium, the first event at Parramatta Stadium. Anyway, I wasn't there in '86 when it opened, so I was there for their last game. I was there for their last game um, at Pertec in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the first ever game at a core stadium, what it's called now, the old Olympic Stadium. So that was a double header.
Oh, yeah.
So that was pretty good to be at the first ever event at the Olympic Stadium at the time. Um, what else? Oh, the State of Origin game a couple of years ago, game three, I think it was 20. This will test me. 18, I think it was,
Oh,
when
yeah.
James Tedesco went over in that last minute try for New South Wales.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, that was an amazing piece of play. I think Fergo started that off, or
Yep.
Tommy Turbo passed it to Fergo, and then Fergo down the sideline, and then back inside to Teddy, and New South Wales get the win in the series there. Hoping they can do that again or get a win tomorrow anyway.
Oh, they got
Um,
noses. There's no problem.
that's it. This is going to be his masterful game. He's going to step up and
Yeah.
he's going to get New South Wales a victory.
I feel like it's to the case of this New South Wales thing. It feels like one fan base is going to be cheering on just Moses. We love Junior as well, but we would be cheering just Moses on because we want him to show everyone that he is that good a player. But I kind of also want him to not show everyone he's that good a player because I kind of don't. I kind of would like him to keep playing for Parramatta and not be sidetracked by this New South Wales crap.
Yeah, but I mean, every player wants to play Origin, don't
Oh
they?
yeah, of course, I know.
Or for their country, so you can't hold that against him.
Oh no.
Other great moments, I think 2017, Semi Radradra, 4 tries against the Broncos up in Queensland. That was a great game, getting back to a Parramatta perspective. Look, a non-Parramatta perspective was the Cowboys versus the Broncos grand final in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
I watched that one in the Parra Cave, and I was going for the Cowboys that night. Obviously, they never won a competition until then, and just watching the end of that game, that last play, JT running around in circles, and then passing it to Michael Morgan, and then Morgo the flick out to Kyle Felt, and Felt in the corner, and then JT's attempt at goal, which hits the post. We all thought it was going over. It was curling around, and then we didn't know what was going to happen then next. And then, unfortunately for Ben Hunt, which probably one of the things he'll be known for is he dropped the ball off the kickoff, and JT slotted the field goal, and they won the comp. So probably those two grand finals in a row, actually, because the Sharks won their first ever one the year after, and sort of similar.
Well, it was similar, but the Storm had the ball. Yeah, the Storm had the ball, and they couldn't score.
Yeah,
so it was kind of like, oh, But that was great. That was great as a Parramatta fan because you kind of went, all right, well, because the year before South won first time in 40-something years. Cowboys win, first ever one. Cronulla wins, first ever one. And then the 2017 season happens, and I'm like, oh, it could happen. And then it didn't.
I think I might have said that we'll win the comp that year too. So, unfortunately, out in straight sets, and then a wooden spoon the year after. So,
look, I said we're going to win it every second year. So.
Yeah, okay. What year is this year? Is this year the second year?
Last year was our year.
Okay.
You know what? I'm going to sit here and just go, they're not as bad as what people told us they were, but I don't think we're going to win it. But next year,
well,
maybe. You know what? If we do it, all power to us. That's fine. I feel like if we win it, this is becoming a para podcast right now. I feel like
we can turn it around.
Yeah, that's okay. I feel like if we won it, it wouldn't be the same good feeling that you got from the Cowboys winning it. I don't know what it is, but I feel like
I don't know about that.
I think there's too many people who are a little bit, maybe our age or a bit older, who remember Parramatta, who grew up at Parramatta being the best side, and I reckon they're still sore about it. That's my theory. But yeah, I don't know. You know, I have no.
Yeah,
I'd love to see a lot of clubs win it. Obviously, I want to see Parramatta win it first, but I'd love to see a lot of these clubs win it. It's not like I would ever go, oh, I don't want to see. Like I remember when Cronulla won, and people didn't want to see Cronulla win anything. And it's like, no, I want
yeah,
to see them win. Like I know what it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
not to win.
yeah. I like to go for the underdogs, and
Yeah,
more times than not, Parramatta's the underdog. But um,
exactly.
I heard you mention before there the prelim final as well
Oh,
of last year, and that was an emotionally
yeah,
charged game, that one, and
yeah.
emotionally charged ending. So that was another great moment, more recent, and yeah,
Mm,
obviously making the grand final last year was a great moment despite the result. But
yeah.
um,
You got any funny moments, Troy? Like I only had one. I only had the Michael Vella with the Hannibal Lecter. That's the funniest thing I could think of.
okay, look, funny moments. Well, I mean, we've got State of Origin for a night, so a couple of State of Origin ones. You got back in the '80s, Noel Cleal with his dropout at the
Yes,
SCG that just
that's a good one.
dropped the ball into the ground and just in a big puddle and just stayed there. A bit embarrassing for Crusher. Aaron Woods as well, flying over the top for a try celebration. That was quite hilarious. I think we've seen a couple of players do that since, but his one was quite funny, and the amount of memes that come out after that, and
Mm.
um, you know, Titanic music and Superman music and stuff like that of him flying over the top was quite funny. Oh, look,
I think
uh,
was there one where Marty Bella played the ball backwards in an Origin or something? I believe that happened,
uh,
or he did it in a
yeah,
maybe he
look,
did it for
I think
Canterbury.
yeah, I think he actually did it in the grand final
Ah,
against
that's what it
Canberra in
was.
'94.
Yeah, that's what it was. I remember someone playing. I remember
Yeah.
him playing the ball backwards once. Um,
Yeah, we had the head tape around him, so maybe the tape was down over his eyes or something. I don't know, but he didn't know where he was. But there was one too. Might have been Greg Florimo for North Sydney. I think his jumper got pulled over the top of him, and
oh yeah,
he struggled to play the ball, and
I think there
he
was
didn't know
one.
where he was.
I think there was one, and I'm trying to remember the name. Is it David Atkins? I think played for Parramatta, and I remember we were playing. I feel like we were playing Canberra, and he made like this run down field, and he got pulled down like 10 meters out from the line. He tried to get up and play the ball properly, like quickly, but he got turned around, so he ended up playing the ball facing his own goal line, and the ball just rolled over the try line. I remember that one happening. I can't remember what that game
Okay,
was, but when I was
yeah,
a kid,
okay, yeah,
it's like the late 80s, early 90s, that kind of time. But because every time someone talks about the Marty Bella one, that one comes straight to my
yeah,
mind. But I have no
yeah,
idea when it happened, and I
yeah.
feel like that's the guy's name, and I can't remember if that's right or not.
I know there was a Graham Atkins who played.
Uh,
Um, for Parramatta. That was early '80s.
nah, it was later than
Um,
that. It was like a Panasonic Cup or something. It was something like that.
okay, yeah,
Anyway,
what else? There's the Nathan Brown pass at the Adelaide Oval to when he's playing for St George that
yep,
hit him on
yep,
Lance Thompson, I think, the
yep,
late Lance
right in the
Thompson on
head.
the head. Yeah, yeah. Um, Yeah, so yeah, there's been a few funny moments, I guess, over rugby league. A
hmm
lot. You often see Andrew Voss bring them all out on the fan sometimes, but yeah, no, there's been some great funny moments, certainly in rugby league.
Mm. I'm not going to ask you about the worst moments because I've done them all for us. Unless you've got anything else that's not a Parramatta losing a prelim or a grand final.
Worst moments. Yeah, well, you probably covered '01, '98. Worst moments in rugby league. Oh well, I mean, obviously there's Parramatta losing 68-0 to Canberra. That was
Yeah.
pretty embarrassing, I guess. A pretty bad moment in rugby league. I think also in that game for Canberra fans, they would probably think that's a pretty bad game as Ricky Stewart broke his ankle in that
hmm
game. So
Yeah.
and ruined '93 season for them. So that's a pretty bad moment in rugby league. Yeah, I don't really know about too many bad moments. I mean, I guess the salary cap dramas they're pretty bad. I guess.
Yeah,
So you got Canterbury in what was it, '02,
yeah.
where they were flying. They were winning the comp. They were on I think 40 odd points or something, and way out in front. We don't really, as Parramatta fans, we don't really care about the Melbourne Storm salary cap dramas, but
No, no, it doesn't
or
doesn't
or
involve
or
us.
or, or our own. We don't really want to talk about that one either. But
No, no.
yeah, that was probably a big moment in rugby league, and probably a lot of people have said that Super League was a bad moment in rugby league.
Mm,
Um, uh, so a lot of the way that the game was torn apart into two competitions. So a few people have said that it's bad. Talking to a few ex-players, one actually said that it was a good thing for rugby league because it brought it was Shane Muspratt, who I spoke to a couple of weeks ago, who
mm,
was playing for North Queensland at the time, and he was saying that without Super League, then um, North Queensland wouldn't have had like a reserve grade side, so it wouldn't have given these younger blokes a chance to play rugby league and a
mm,
first grade rugby league as well. So especially for that area, so it was good in that retrospect. And obviously the amounts of money that players got paid, that was a good thing for them as well, and
mm.
probably set the trend. So some people say it's bad, some people say it's good. Yeah, I don't really, yeah, don't really know what else. I don't really like to talk about the bad
No,
things
no,
in
that's cool.
rugby league.
Well, I mean, the thing about Super League, if without Super League, I'd have less than half my content. So, because all the history happens in the '90s, that's where
Yeah,
everything happens. So,
yeah, that's it. As I said, a lot of people say it was bad because it was split competitions and you had um, fans against fans, and
yeah,
a lot of the players they just wanted to play footy for their respective teams, so they didn't have a gripe against each other. And yeah, so it was probably just the TV companies and the fans that probably were going against each other, I guess,
mm,
at that time. So, and it only lasted 1 year, which was probably good, and then we got back together.
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, look, you know what? That's not a bad point to stop talking about good, bad, and funny stuff. But thanks for joining me, Troy. That was
Not a
awesome.
problem. Thank you very
I
much.
might sign off in a sec, and I'll let you go, and I'll talk to you later.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
Congratulations on 100 episodes too.
Thank you.
Well done.
That was great having Troy on, and um, sorry I couldn't get Ben to talk as well, but I think we might leave it at that. Like I'll finish the thought I was having when Troy came on. I just want to thank everyone who listens and everyone who contributes, and I would love to hear you all contribute more. And if you want to come on an episode, we won't have a video like this, obviously. Just let me know, and if you've got a topic you want to talk about. If you don't, I'll just continue to click away on the keys and provide what I think is good content. And yeah, all right. Well, thank you all for listening, and I don't know how to sign off. I think I get told that I become a bit wordy, but that's fine. I'll I'll just I'll end the Zoom because no one's gonna needs to come back on that. You probably don't need to see me anymore. Um, and yeah, I'll just we'll go back onto this thing, and I'll say goodbye to everyone, and hopefully, yeah, hopefully I can do 100 more episodes, and we can do a 200th, and we can chat about